there, everybody. Welcome back to Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. I'm your host, the most amazingest, incrediblest, juiciest Ross Pit Shark Hunter that you've ever met. And this over here is my co-host, Wizzy Puff, whom is also the president of Slovakia.
Yeah, but not Czechia.
Nope.
They took that from me.
Well deserved. So, can you tell that I was just like, I had a country in mind and then I forgot the country halfway through saying that you were the president of something? And then...
I thought that you didn't even have a country in mind.
Oh, no, I did. But I had to make one up on the spot because I realized that, I forgot it.
Oopsie.
My bad. So today, we're going to get back to reading all of our favorite stories. Story The Celestia Code by Esau, Two-Saw, Double I Saw. So yeah, can't wait to get back into this. Wizzy, do you remember what happened last time?
Well, luckily, I just skimmed through the last chapter because I had no clue.
Alright, but last time also included the other chapter.
Oh. Yeah, I totally didn't skim through that one, so I don't know what happened in that one.
In chapter 13, Twilight finally confronted Jigsaw about a certain something that we both had a major problem with in the previous chapters.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
And it was like, hell yeah, Twilight, yes, queen. And then they were all good by the end of that chapter, but they also realized that they stumbled into traps that wasn't exactly good. In fact, they were rather deadly traps. So then things got really intense the next chapter for them. Of course, I didn't believe that they would die, but gosh, what if Jigsaw did? What if?
Oh my god. They can't kill off Jigsaw. That would leave so much from being, finished. She has so much to do.
Like what? Snog a changeling again?
Oh, is that a word?
Yeah, snog. It's kissing, I believe. Making out is probably
more...
more...
I thought it was going to be like have sex.
No, that's shagging.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one.
It confused me when I heard it that one time. But anyways, in the chapter after chapter 15, yeah, they had to carefully get around all these traps, right? And then they found that unicorn supremacist asshole or whatever's body. Oh yeah, they also found a bunch of dead bodies, by the way. Or skeleton, rather. Bodies kind of dissolved. Of the unicorn supremacist, what's their name?
Celestia.
No. In fact, I think they hated Celestia is the thing.
Oh, is that who hated? I thought they were like the opposite side of like the pro Celestia side for some reason.
No, thankfully not. I don't want any unicorn supremacists on Celestia's side.
That tyrant, ever since she grew wings, she's been sympathetic to those earth ponies and them Pegasi.
It's really funny how you did that for a unicorn.
That's a good point. The only ponies in the show with that kind of accent are the earth ponies.
Yep.
The apples.
Well, not specifically the apples. We know a few others, but they're all earth ponies, that's for sure. Okay, seriously, I'm trying to figure out where they said their name, but I can't find it. They were also mentioned at the beginning. You can also go listen to that episode again. Good episode. I liked it. And also, they teleported a bunch of stuff, I believe, up to the top because they were in a chamber down below the ground. And then nothing went wrong for once. So, chapter 15. Panic!
That's a good segue.
And then it says again, chapter 15, panic. The crates survived the transit in better condition than I'd expected. They slumped and crumbled a bit, but were still recognizable when they arrived on the floor of the cornucopia building.
Let me do this, Twilight.
Jigsaw spoke up.
I know the way these crates are put together.
I stood back and watched as she gently brushed away the decayed wood and iron top of the first box, revealing a thin sheet of lead. She probed carefully with her magic, and then peeled away the soft metal, like she was pulling an old quilt off of a bed. Books. I know Twilight's getting excited. A little bibliophile.
See, this is going to be the moment where she has the changelings turn into a pile of books for her.
Hi. The crate had been tightly packed with scores of books. Okay, I admit it. I squealed like a school filly. Called it. Jigsaw grinned and gave me a look.
Weren't you hoping for a priceless golden idol, or the dreaded Eye of Argon?
Oh, please, I snorted. I'd trade the legendary treasure of Queen Majesty for another crate like that one. Jigsaw's grin got even wider.
Okay, then.
She went to work on the second crate and soon revealed another trove of books, then a third.
Breathe, Twilight.
She admonished me as she continued working on the boxes, carefully peeling away the sides.
Oh, by the way, that's one queen's hoard you owe me.
Greedy.
Did they make like a bet earlier or something?
Probably. It's been a while since we read it. Yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
Anybody who listened to the last episode recently and knows that we said, we could totally just record whenever we want, actually. So let's just do that, like, in bulk. A lot of our time was not free. Not as free as it was over the summer. So we didn't do that. We didn't record a lot more of these. We're recording this a week before this comes out. That's fun.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
And also my birthday.
Happy birthday, Ross.
Thank you.
While you're re-listening to this when it's uploaded.
Hold on. Actually hold on, though. This is going to be uploaded on Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Oh, this better be. Oh, the cornucopia.
I was just
going to be a
say,
whole Thanksgiving episode.
Oh, man. We're absolute geniuses. Oh, right. That. I started to reach out with my magic, but had to take a moment to stop the field from wavering. I gently touched a volume that had been in the first crate, and was surprised to find it in pretty good condition. Sharpuff, that's the name. Sharpuff's group must have done some conservation work.
Is it Sharpuff or Sharfoof?
Sharpuff. They're ponies.
Sharfoof.
Look, Wizzy, as much as I would love it to be that, don't get me wrong. It's Sharpuff.
Okay.
Sharpuff's group must have done some conservation work on these before they packed them up, I guessed. Jigsaw nodded.
That's pretty much standard procedure for delicate items.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like the lead was good protection.
She lifted a thin black book out of the pile she was working on and flipped it open.
Hey, I think we're in luck.
Yes?
Yup. Standard procedure also calls for making a catalog of items sealed up for transport.
Dope. She waved the little book at me.
And this appears to be it.
It's like a heart's warming, my birthday, and my coronation all wrapped up together.
Yo, we were just talking about a couple of those things.
3 of those things, actually.
Yeah, we were just talking about our coronation 100%.
Absolutely. Remember that big discussion that we had before the episode started about Twilight's coronation and how it's the greatest scene in My Little Pony history?
I was going to say something very similar to that.
Jigsaw laughed and floated the catalog over to me.
Happy birthday, princess.
It's not my birthday, you idiot.
And that's where it all came crashing down.
Finally, Jigsaw's villain arc.
That would be so funny if she just like turns into like a nice guy type after getting rejected by Twilight. God.
Please? It got even better. According to the catalog, the books were mostly on magical engineering and specifically about the particulars of the infrastructure of the city. There were scores on crystal growth, management, and charging. More than 100 on practical and theoretical application spells. At least a dozen on autonomic control schemes for dissimilar magic devices, a few that had puzzling titles, and exactly 1 on military applications. I'm sure they'll be using that for only good. Thanks to the excellent organization of the boxes, I was able to locate that last book in a matter of moments. I opened the book and my throat tightened as I read the title page. Military Applications of the Great Crystal Engine by Lord Commander Sombra. Oh, God.
What?
Yo, baby.
Wait, we were just talking so much about this guy. This is so good.
Wow. Oh man. And I was actively avoiding the next part of whatever it said. So I was reading it as it was coming on screen.
Yeah, I was reading it. My first thought when I read Crystal was it was going to be something to do with like the Crystal Empire's dark secret or something, but it makes sense with Sombra.
Yeah. Awesome. Are there any crystal unicorns? I don't think there are. Something for another day, I'm sure.
Twilight? Are you all right?
I shook my head. I just discovered where an old enemy learned his craft. That's all. A bit of a shock.
Are we going to have to worry about this enemy showing up? 'Cause what with the changelings and all, our dance cards are getting kind of full.
Oh, no, I assured her. Cadence burned his rotten soul away back when the Empire returned. Well, about that. Apparently his soul is okay, at least a little bit. Maybe he was burning in hell. They didn't explain that much of it.
But his body's the thing that rotted away?
It exploded more like.
Ugh.
He more rotted away the second time he died.
And wait, Cadence is the one who did it?
Well, Cadence sort of is. It was more of the Crystal Heart. But really, Spike was the true hero of that. So you can thank Spike for killing a man.
Did he save the Crystal Heart and then Cadence used it?
Yeah, he grabbed the Crystal Heart because Twilight was trapped, and her whole emotional arc in that was letting other people do what was right, even if it would cost her things. And so he ran out and was got the Crystal Heart, and then he jumped off a building on accident. More like tripped off, but and he was like, oh shoot, the Crystal Heart, and he was trying to grab it, and then Shining Armor throws Cadence, and Cadence grabs him, and she launches the Crystal Heart into where it's supposed to be, and it explodes out, causing good things to happen to good ponies and bad things to happen to Sombra.
Only Sombra.
He's the only bad one there. And that's how Equestria was made.
Wait,
Jigsaw's grin turned a bit sickly.
The Alicorn of Love did what now?
I shook myself out of my reverie. Oh, no. It wasn't exactly on purpose, more like a side effect of replacing the Crystal Heart. She's really a very sweet pony.
More crystals,
Jigsaw said, thoughtfully.
I'm beginning to think that messing around with crystals leads to a short life expectancy.
More like dark and light magic not playing well together, I said, just vocalizing some half-formed thoughts of my own. Engines and batteries of incompatible types.
You seem to be able to do both pretty well,
Jigsaw observed. I really didn't know what to say to that. As far as I knew, Celestia, Luna, and I were the only ponies in the modern age to be able to work with both forms. Dark magic wasn't exactly evil. It was just unconstrained, which made it very difficult to control. Thinking about magical control led me to the bronze device around the base of the Great Crystal Engine. One of the books must have information about it. I almost put aside Sombra's book before something my brother had once told me popped into my head. One snowy evening during winter break from the Guard Academy, Shining Armor had badly trounced me in a pillow fight by making my toys and books dance around the room, distracting me from his fluffy missiles. At that point, my magic was very well developed, stronger than his, and I could have easily taken him in an honest, feather-filled slugfest.
It's all about threat assessment, Twily.
He grinned at me as I spit out clumps of goose down.
Take care of the spear, a pillow that's headed your way before looking anywhere else.
Thanks for the advice, Shiny, I said sourly.
No problem, sis.
He grinned, smugly. Oh, hey, I said, turning to my bedroom window. Is that Cadence? She said she'd drop by sometime this week.
Really? Where?
Shining Armor rushed to the window to look down at the street. I walloped him solidly in the back of the head with my favorite pillow, which also had a brick in it.
No!
I'm kidding. Of course, your favorite pillow is probably a book. I walloped him solidly in the back of the head with my favorite pillow. I always was a quick study. I think I should start with this one, I told Jigsaw. Why don't you go through the others and see what you can find? The sun is setting, and we only have until a couple of hours after dawn to read undisturbed.
Sounds good to me.
She didn't quite have the same relationship with books that I did, but she sounded pretty eager to pull an all-nighter anyway. I turned to my own book, and pretty soon I was having a hard time keeping my temper. I disliked Sombra just for what he put the poor crystal ponies through. After reading his own words and having it shoved down my face how bigoted, arrogant, and downright callous he was, I thoroughly loathed him. This was probably before we learned that Sombra was actually not entirely a unicorn. He was sort of a unicorn, but he was an Umbra pony or whatever. I mean, maybe he was, but I assume that this is more unicorn bigotry that she's talking about. And that was just the foreword. Yikes. In the body of the book, Sombra advocated for more unicorn-only settlements, laying out a plan for settling or conquering crystal-rich areas and building more of the dark crystal engines until all of the pathetically misguided lands were under unicorn control. He named Equestria specifically, noting that it would be wise to surround the kingdom with crystal outposts before attacking it directly.
Whoa, go unicorns.
Jesus.
Sorry, I want to play devil's advocate, but, it's kind of hard with this one.
Well, Sombra is basically the devil.
Does he have an advocate?
No, which is why I think you'd be perfect for the job.
Yes!
Suddenly, a unicorn king of an earth pony empire made a lot more sense. The text began to go into details, and I steeled myself to plow through a lot of unpleasantness. The first paragraph in the tactics section made my head swim. I couldn't take it in. I had to reread it and pause for the full horror of the words to sink in. Of course, once we are able to get her within range, we can easily dispose of our greatest enemy. This is Twilight reading King Sombra's voice in her mind. We can easily dispose of our greatest enemy by removing the safety restraints on the cornucopia and commanding, "May I have the heart of Princess Celestia, please?"
Do you remember in Steven Universe when all of the rubies fused?
Yes.
That's exactly what your voice sounds like.
I dropped the book and turned my head and vomited out everything in my stomach.
Twilight?
Jigsaw dropped her own book and stood up.
Twi, are you all right?
I couldn't reply. I was still dry heaving and sobbing and just shaking and nearly paralyzed by the sheer evil of it. That the crystal below us could have so violated the constraints of pure magic as to no, not could have, but still could. The device that constrained it, so that a careless or angry pony couldn't get to it, to do something damaging. It was nearly corroded away. Any pony or anything with the knowledge could go down the cavern and kick it apart, and time for a book burning, I'd say.
Oh, come on, you can just
I think this started with a book burning, so maybe that's where that's going.
They can just go SCP style on it.
Oh, maybe. Jigsaw approached me slowly and tried to put a leg around my shoulders.
A leg around my shoulders. It's funny because it's ponies.
Ha! Comedy gold.
It's okay, Twilight. Tell me what's...
No, I shoved her away from me. No, you don't understand. It's evil. It's not just wrong, not just theft. The whole city is evil. Cuckoo. I swung a hoof around in a wild, dramatic gesture. They were all bad ponies. Even that little kid. Do you remember that one? Piece of shit.
That little baby that didn't even say its first word.
Oof, R.I.P. that little baby, man.
Man, Princess of Friendship.
Dark topic.
Really kind of failing her job at the moment.
She was new to the job.
That's fair.
Jigsaw backed away and stepped on the corner of the Sombra's book. She glanced down and then raised it up, no doubt wanting to read what had sent me off into such a fit of temper. I wrenched the book out of her grasp and then stared around me at the pile of books. Magical engineering, mana control systems, crystal growth. With those books, any halfway competent team of unicorns could create another dark crystal engine. With Sombra's tactic, they could wield the most terrible weapon known to pony kind. Facing an average army? May I have 10,000 Pegasus heads, please? I nearly vomited again. I turned to Jigsaw. What did you read? My voice sounded desperate and strained, like it kind of always does, let's face it. Even to my own ears. What was it?
What? Water magic.
She flinched back from me.
hydraulic spells to pull water up from deep below the desert, if I understood it right.
Dear God, it's worse than I thought. She backed away a couple of steps.
Twilight, please calm down. Just breathe, okay? Deep breaths.
I did breathe deeply then. She hadn't seen anything important, no clues as to how the core structure of dark magic worked or how crystals were created. But I didn't calm down much. Threat assessment. I nodded. Yes, Shining was right. I have to eliminate the threat.
No.
Looks at Jigsaw, eyes glow red.
Suddenly a pillow appears out of nowhere.
I wrapped all the books in my magic and lifted them up, gathering them close to me.
Twilight!
No, I have to do this, Jigsaw. I don't know if she understood my words fully, because I was half choking on my own sobs. I have to save her.
Please, Twilight, just tell me.
I teleported away. It's getting intense, man.
What is she gonna do with the books?
But why is it called Panic?
What does this have to do with the character from Disney's Hercules?
That's a reference to Disney's Hercules, if you all didn't know.
You'd have to watch the movie to completely get that reference. So, a shout out to Disney's Hercules, now in theaters.
Yeah, let's stall the release of this until a Disney live-action Hercules comes out. Pretty sure they're making one. Which, frankly, of the Disney live-action remakes, that's a fine one to remake, I'll be honest.
Who could play Hercules? Jake Paul!
I think you mean Huncules. God.
My favorite version of that meme is the one where it shows her halfway through that and she just glitches.
That's what I think of each time I think of that. As I watch the books burn among the ruins. Hey, is this the beginning?
Wait, what?
The beginning of this, of the Celestia Code specifically. She was having a whole book burning party, and I think Celestia joined in or something like that.
Was she? At the beginning of the story?
Yep.
I'm gonna go back to the first chapter real quick.
Ah, it is. Oh my God, it is. I'm a genius.
Oh my God.
It's exactly word for word. As I watched the books burn among the ruins, I couldn't help the near instinctive urges that jolted through me like electricity. My horn blazed to life several times by pure reflex, and I had to fight to damp it down again. I desperately wanted to save the books, even though I knew they were the key to a monstrous evil. The bonfire threw blood-red light up across the sculpture of two unicorn stallions, fighting to the death. I was violating my dearest beliefs to keep safe my dearest.
Twilight!
Came a voice from the darkness behind me.
Twilight, where are you?
I groaned. How was I going to justify what I'd done to Jigsaw? Over.
Great, now I have to explain myself.
God. Over. I broke off and coughed until my throat was free of smoke. Over here, Jigsaw. She'd probably seen the light of the fire. Maybe she'd spotted some of the burning pages as the updraft had taken them into the sky. She was a very smart mare, after all. She was also a good friend. She didn't say anything when she saw the bonfire. She just stared at it for what seemed to me to be a very long while. Then she walked over to me and sat down close beside me. I leaned against her. Thank goodness I made copies of those books. Whew. I know you didn't mean to burn them, Twilight.
It's a good thing I have my good old copy spell. What if? What if, though?
Probably exists. Actually, no, it can't exist in this, can it? Because they had said that you can't make something out of nothing. Technically, there is something that they are making. But you can't, make a new thing out of that thing, I guess. It's what, I believe this universe has said. I didn't cry. There were no sobs. It was just my eyes. They wouldn't stop leaking all over everything.
Gross.
When the fire began to burn down, Jigsaw used her magic to mound it up, pushing half-charred books into the center to make sure they were all completely consumed. She didn't even know what was going on. She was just helping. Much later, she stirred the ashes, getting air to the last bits of glowing paper and canvas. Then she turned to me and wiped my face with a clean cloth she'd pulled from her saddlebags.
Back to the library now. I'll make some chamomile tea and then tuck you in.
I can't sleep.
I'll sit with you until you can.
I had to do it.
Okay.
Oh, Jigsaw's a good friend.
Isn't she? Even when she does some, pretty bad stuff, she'll make up for it.
Jigsaw's a flawed character. She's a flawed but good person. We just completely flip-flop or switch roles. I started to protest, to tell her she had to understand. But, of course, that's the one thing I didn't want her to. No pony could understand. No pony could know, and no pony would know. Because the knowledge was gone. All that remained. The crystal! My head shot up in alarm.
Shh.
Jigsaw tried to soothe me.
The crystal will still be there in the morning, Twilight. You need rest.
Unless, of course, this changeling can steal it.
Oh no, it's Sergeant... whatever her name was.
Kneecap or something.
Betraying Jigsaw. Sassafras, I think? Or something like that?
No, you're thinking of Sharphoof. Or Sharp.
No, something like
Sharp.
Sassafras. It was like Cesaresia or something.
Yes, it was actually Cesaresia.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was that, so I just went with the word that sounded closest.
I definitely don't think it was Sassafras. I don't think that's like a... Let's just say it doesn't sound like a changeling name. There are certain patterns to it.
Oh, I see. It sounds like a pony name, though.
It does, which is why I don't think it's that. That's the problem. The crystal, we've got to destroy it.
How?
That was like a kick to my gut. I had no idea how to destroy it. It couldn't just...
How? I mean, I thought she could just bash into it until it broke.
That does sound like something that she could do. I couldn't just drop another meteorite on it. The amount of dark energy bound up in that gigantic crystal would do incredible harm if released all at once. Look at that. They answered your question.
Oh. So it's like a nuke.
Yes, we were in a nearly uninhabited desert, but uncontrolled dark magic could do worse things than kill living beings. A few scattered ounces of Discord seeds had made the whole Everfree forest into a malignant entity with the power to capture the two most powerful ponies in Equestria.
What? Wait, Discord made the Everfree?
No, but he did plant seeds to make evil tentacle stuff.
Oh. So you just added to the already existing evil in the Everfree forest?
Basically.
Ah, that makes sense.
It wasn't one of the more fun threats that they fought in a season premiere, but, it was fine.
Season premiere kind of makes sense. Those are normally tame.
Not this show. Season premieres could sometimes be the worst threats. Look at Sombra.
That was a season premiere?
Yep.
That guy seems like a season finale.
He should have been, if you ask me, and no one else.
I mean, it really only has significance sort of artificially. It could happen any time in the season, and, as long as it's in the right place in the timeline.
Anyways, where was I? Capture the two most powerful ponies in Equestria. What horrors could hundreds of megathoms of undirected, maleficent magic do? How much magic was bound up in that crystal anyway? I just couldn't do the math in my head. I needed to sketch out an amplitude... God damn it, Twilight. I needed to sketch out an... blah, blah.
This was the story that always has the big wars like this, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does. And again, the author misspelled the word to. I think it was to. It might have been something else. I think that was in the first one, by the way, that we read. I needed to sketch out an amplituhedron, but I couldn't remember where I'd put my notebook and quill.
Twilight,
Jigsaw said softly. I jerked my head around to stare at her. What?
Is it urgent? Does it have to be done right now? Are we in danger?
No, I said. Well, no, maybe. I shook my head, which gave me a brief dizzy spell. No, I guess not. Not right now. She nudged me in the direction of the library. I took a step, then stopped. She shoved me until I began walking.
Tea, then bed,
she insisted. But
Tea,
she said, quietly but firmly.
Then bed. I don't care if you're Mormon.
Ouch. The tea was good. I don't remember falling asleep. Something's gonna happen. I just know it.
That really messed with Twilight.
Jigsaw was playing the long con. She's gonna, do something. I just know it.
She's gonna use the crystal. I'd like the heart of Twilight, please, but she didn't realize that it would take it literally.
Uh-oh. That was chapter 15. A lot of philosophical discussions that could be had, but we're already running a bit late, so we're just going to get into the next chapter. Chapter 16. Detente. 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 I think it's detente. I think so too, me. Thanks, me. The sight of the Golden Oak Library burning was something I had mixed feelings about. The leaves had already ignited and flown up into the sky, trailing embers, and the limbs were beginning to char. From where I stood in the street, I could see Celestia on my stargazing balcony, glaring down at me. The tips of her primary feathers were beginning to blacken and smoke. I knew she wasn't going to save herself, so I reached out with my magic to teleport her away, but I couldn't get a grasp on her. The only part of her that seemed reachable was her heart.
So this is just some weird messed up dream.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. Maybe that's what detente means. I tried to fly up to her, but the ashes falling down became so heavy that they fouled my feathers and forced me back to the ground. I tried to walk forward, but I couldn't see the library any longer, and the gray ashes were so deep that they made moving difficult. Soon, the dust was up to my chest, and I struggled to take even a single step. I floundered and tried to use my wings to lift me up, but they found no purchase, slamming down into the dust without effect. I strained and raised my face up to the black sky, but I was still sinking into the dust, and there was nothing in sight but a small blue-green orb.
So I looked it up.
Yo.
Detente means trigger.
Oh.
Might
damn.
have put a trigger warning in this one.
What's Jigsaw gonna do?
Oh no. Who gave her a gun?
Jigsaw becomes fucking Punisher. Oh, hey, maybe we'll get Luna. If this is a dream.
Yes.
I felt, rather than heard, a hoof slam down on the ground beside my head and turned to look. A platinum shoe, studded with what a coincidence. Studded with fire opals, encased the end of a long black leg that reached out for me, lifting and turning me, still wrapped in a blanket of dust. Pitless dragon eyes looked down into mine.
Pitiless.
As she... Oh, yeah. I liked pitless. I don't know. Pitiless dragon eyes looked down into mine as she gathered me into her forelegs like a foal. Now, do you remember your Luna voice?
No, didn't actually get to that.
Hello, Twilight Sparkle. It is me, Luna. Something like that.
Okay.
We can always go back and check it out. Luna, I gasped, the breath leaving my lungs like it was being pulled by some magic. She lowered her huge head and breathed for me, filling my lungs with something that was not quite air, something that roiled with her strength.
Oh, so young.
She whispered without taking her lips away from mine. Ew.
And yet so powerful. So powerful, and yet so hesitant. So hesitant, and yet so determined. So determined, and yet so inexperienced.
Luna, stop fooling around.
I am not she.
The nightmare hissed, her breath carrying her words into me.
I am the one she cannot save you from, Twilight Sparkle.
Who? What? She melted into me, filling my vision with those huge luminous eyes, and my heart with a dreadful desire in the instant before I awoke.
Man, waking up really makes me tired.
You're already awake, Jigsaw.
Twilight!
Somebody nudged my shoulder gently.
Twilight, you should really wake up now.
The tone in Jigsaw's voice jolted me into full consciousness. I reflexively brought up the pre-matrix components for a shield spell before my eyes were even fully open, and had a second spike of adrenaline as I realized that, in my distress, I hadn't raised one the night before, and, oh bother, had I picked the wrong night to get lax with the security precautions? There, in the other doorway to the rotunda, flanked by the general on one side and the captain on the other, stood Queen Chrysalis herself. Your Majesty, I heard my mouth saying. I regret I was not awake to properly greet you. I bowed, never taking my eyes off hers. For me, protocol. Footnote, Court formalities are as much a shield, social lubricant, and safety valve as anything else. Ponies who think they are outmoded affectations haven't looked deeply enough into the subject. I have a book I can recommend.
Oh, have you burned it yet?
Ooh, fuck, got her. Was no less an instinctual reaction for having been learned. Chrysalis waved away my words like the matter was of no importance to her.
I merely wished to see how you were getting along.
So, she hadn't immediately attacked us. That was a good sign. Quite well, thank you. Thank you so much, I said. I left the until now part of the sentence unspoken. She probably saw that giant book burning that you did. If the rigid postures of her subordinates were anything to judge by, this was the farthest thing imaginable from a casual visit. The general in particular was braced like a royal guards pony awaiting a dressing down for a major foul-up.
Really?
She drew out the word and gave me the "you're lying, cow." Slight word substitution there, though. It begins with the same letter. No offense intended to any of my bovine citizens.
She doesn't want to get canceled for using cow as an insult.
She drew out the word and gave me the "you're a lying cow" smile.
There seemed to be a rather large fire in the city last night. I shudder to think what your research might look like when it isn't going well. And speaking of things going poorly...
And then she gets shot through the head. Oh shit, if they go down into the little crypts there, they trigger the wrong spell, or whatever happens, just say.
Oh.
Might be the last we see of Chrysalis. She made a peremptory gesture with her hoof, and the general took one step forward.
My general has displeased you.
Do not swallow the general in one bite, Chrysalis, I'm begging you.
2 bites, please.
At least. Clearly that's what someone gave her.
Oh, no, I interrupted. No, not really.
Indeed?
There was that smile again.
What she told me makes me think otherwise. Now I don't know whether to punish her for her disobedience or for lying to me.
Ah, shit.
She just really wants to take her anger out on that general.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, that general is pretty mean.
Her voice was laden with menace. The general didn't budge, but I could see the captain shiver. I had no doubt that the punishment would take a very physically unpleasant form. I would take it as a great favor if you would show mercy, Your Majesty, I improvised. What happened yesterday was a simple misunderstanding, and I am actually quite pleased with the conduct of your citizens.
My subjects, you mean?
Yada yada yada. Chrysalis wasn't smiling.
They know as well as I that mercy is just a polite word for weakness.
Okay, the nicey nice approach wasn't working so well. So it was time to think like a changeling, a cold, brutal, deceitful insect. Those pieces of shit. Those fucking gross, disgusting, evil...
In this story where they're all like, yeah, let's treat all the races equally, racism is bad, and then she's like, gotta think like these disgusting insect changelings.
Twilight, racism is bad. Also Twilight, cold, brutal, deceitful insect. Please, I sneered at the queen. Do you really expect me to believe you're going to damage such a valuable officer? I know you're much more intelligent than that. Can we just cut to the chase here? Chrysalis blinked and lifted her chin a bit. Then she glanced at the general, who gave her a knowing look and nodded slightly.
Well, well, well.
There was a bit of a chuckle in her tone.
Cutting and chasing, words I like better.
She looked around the room.
No shield today. Are you getting careless, or has something affected your magic?
Uh-oh. Well, as Applejack would never say, when you're betting the farm on a bum deal, all y'all can do is bluff. I've come to trust your people completely, I said, flicking a brief glance at a completely insignificant spot inside the doorway. Chrysalis snickered and then threw back her head and laughed. It was a much more pleasant sound than I'd remembered. That is a pleasant sound. Do it again. Alright, can you do that on a loop, by the way? I would like to go to sleep to it.
No, you're gonna have to use this recording and loop it.
10 hours of whizzy, chrysalis Kermit laugh.
Ah, you ponies are not as practiced at deceit as you may think.
Fuck.
Perhaps I could give you a few pointers.
I am not going to kill her. Thank heaven. Stab. I might enjoy that more than you'd think. I ship it. Chrysalis considered that for a moment.
So, you have no objection to the continued presence of my subjects?
None, I assured her. It was a simple, not completely inaccurate answer to a complex issue.
Very well.
She turned to go, and then casually said,
I will speak with you again soon.
She didn't wait for an answer. Everyone, ponies and changelings, relaxed quite a bit when she was gone.
So,
Jigsaw slowly exhaled.
anyone for tea?
The General and Jigsaw were quite surprised when I assigned them to comb through the ruins together in search of more documents, but they didn't object. Of course, I attached another monitoring spell on Jigsaw before they left, adding quite a bit more functionality to it than the last one.
You mean you secretly attached another monitoring spell? Tell frickin' Jigsaw about it.
The captain, on the other hoof, was less than happy being left behind with me. I had pretty much given up hope of putting us on a friendly terms, but I thought I could try putting her at ease. You have a name besides your title, don't you? May I know it? The captain looked startled and then said something. I couldn't be sure I heard correctly. Did you say Sherry?
Kashari, Your Majesty.
She corrected. I tried it again a couple of times, insisting to the captain that I wanted her to correct my pronunciation. And please, call me Twilight Sparkle, I told her. I ship these two, by the way.
Just like the General and Jigsaw.
I ship every ship that isn't Twilight and Jigsaw.
It's just too obvious.
It's too obvious, exactly. I shipped that one fucking sexist piece of shit in chapter like 3 or 4 with both of them before I shipped those two together.
There's a sexist guy?
Yeah, he was all like, yep, I'm sexist. 2 little ladies out here won't be able to do anything important now. And then Twilight blew up a rock or something.
Twilight froze him and his buddy to the walls.
No,
Heads
that wasn't
touching.
what it was.
Yeah, that was a different scene with the awesome sexist destruction.
I thought you were saying awesome sexist, but yeah, that third word.
The sexism was only okay. It wasn't like awesome sexism. Now, I've seen awesome sexism.
Gonna have to ask you to describe that after the episode. The captain was horrified.
The Queen would chew my head off if she heard me being so disrespectful to royalty, even pony royalty.
I got the distinct impression that she wasn't employing hyperbole or metaphor. Just when we're alone, I insisted. You can highness me all you want in front of the others. I mean, aren't they a hive mind, though, you know? Maybe the Queen would know.
Oh, that's a good point.
I don't know how hive minds work exactly, but...
Yeah, I mean, if it's like bees or something where it's just like the pheromones or whatever, that's one thing. But if they're a hive mind, like in Dat Hive Mind.
Dat Hive Mind. Although it didn't seem like Chrysalis was part of Dat Hive Mind.
No, she was thrown out of it, remember? The thing was they were trying to elect a new queen.
Well, yeah, but like...
Oh, I
like
see, yeah,
part
because
of the
she
hive
was...
mind seemed like she was...
Yeah, they had someone who wasn't part of the changeling hive mind ruling over them.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this takes place in the same universe, so...
Yeah.
Just when we're alone, I insisted. You can highness me all you want in front of others.
I would be more comfortable now.
It's a royal command. You'll get used to it. Kashari swallowed hard.
I understand, Twilight Sparkle.
And then her head explodes. Good, I chirped at her. Now, I need to do some calculations that will keep me busy for quite a while, and I'd like you to help out.
I will do whatever you ask of me, Twilight Sparkle. I keep track of troop strength, so I can do sums quite well.
Oh dear. No, I don't need help with the, sums, actually. I'd like you to keep a pot of tea going and provide me with food occasionally, so I don't have to break my rhythm. I have a little dragon that usually does that sort of thing for me back home.
Dragon?
Grasped. Just a little one. Hardly more than a baby. He is a baby. She gave me a sideways look, probably trying to decide whether or not I was telling the truth, and said,
Of course, Twilight Sparkle.
I love how she uses the full name. It turned out I had to teach her how to make tea, and which parts of our supplies were food and which were wrappings, but she was attentive and picked things up quickly. I was soon laying out an approach to calculating the amount of dark energy held by the great crystal.
Pardon me, Twilight Sparkle.
Shari asked after she'd set down a plate of oat rolls beside me.
But may I ask a question?
Sure, I replied. She wasn't really interrupting. I was just copying over the results from my first set of calculations prior to arranging them into order for the second round.
Is that some sort of figuring?
She pointed to the fire mare diagrams and God damn it. She pointed to the fire mare diagrams and the amplituhedrons. Yeah, gonna keep that one. I had set down in my notebook. Actually, yes, I knew that my work would be far beyond her understanding. She's a dumbass after all. All changelings are.
Yep, turns out that's the one group that she's bigoted against.
But I thought giving her a sketchy idea of the concepts would be the polite thing to do. You see, some figuring is much easier when you use a geometrical analog, a shape, like ratios, for instance. She frowned.
I do not understand. I see how a shape might have sides of certain dimensions, and that two shapes placed together might be measured to determine a sum. But this...
Dude, this changeling gets me, man. I was pleasantly surprised. That's right. That simple idea is really the basis of all I'm doing here, but the shapes can be used for many other calculations. Here, I flipped to a page of path integrals that had some blank space and began to sketch. If I make a right triangle... Sometime later, I heard Jigsaw and Celestia chatting cheerfully as they entered the library.
Whoa!
Whoa there, Skippy. Jigsaw exclaimed as she saw the floor of the rotunda, which was completely littered with pieces of paper cut into varying shapes.
What in the hay happened here? Did you two decide to make paper snowflakes and fail miserably?
Yes. Oh, hi guys, I said. General, did you know that here is a mathematical genius? She's really got a handle on basic geometry and is already starting on algebra after only... Oh dear. Why is it so dark in here?
Sundown, Twilight.
Jigsaw said, grinning. What, already? Jigsaw turned to Celestia and said,
You see what I mean?
Wait, I glared at her suspiciously. What have you been telling her?
All of your secrets.
Oh, fuck. Jigsaw only grinned wider.
Just that you can get lost in formulae. Okay. Just that you can get lost in formulae and diagrams and forget to eat and other stuff that only every pony knows about you.
But mathematics is fun, I protested. Why can't any pony see that?
I can.
Kashari said quietly from behind me. Jigsaw cracked up. A serious fit of giggles overtook her, and the rest of us all stared at her like she was a mad pony. I sighed. Well, at least you're in a cheerful mood. I turned to the big changeling. Did you have a good day, General? Celestia nodded. I, too, am in a pleasant frame of mind, she said, in a tone of voice about as warm as a cobblestone before dawn. Oh, this day was not going as planned. I'm glad to hear it. But did you find anything interesting?
Oh, yeah!
Jigsaw gasped out, trying not quite successfully to stop her chuckles.
You should see some of the mosaics in the public baths. You won't need a chart to decode what's going on in there.
Oh my. She dissolved into another squirming fit of laughter.
Man, they found ancient graffiti of nudity.
Hot.
Horse nudity, Ross.
I'm in the mind of a horse right now. I was just about to bop her on her snoot with a bag of dried apples when 4 more changelings arrived, all drones. Oh goodness, they all sound like Elmo, coincidentally. Oh no. One of them stepped forward, making a slight stridulating noise that I suppose served them as substitute for a clearing of the throat. Ciceressia turned to look at her. Yes? The one who had stepped forward gave a quick bow.
General, we are here for you.
Ah, yes. The general sounded mildly surprised. I have no need of you. Attend to the captain.
Actually,
Kashkari said, a bit hesitantly, as if she were only just realizing the fact behind her words.
I'm not hungry either.
Oh my gosh, love.
This is so cute.
Jigsaw stopped laughing and Cesaressia whipped her head around. Nearly simultaneously, they both said,
What?
Shit, dude. Is Twilight and Kashkari gonna fuck?
Ooh. Is this the changeling that'll turn into the pile of books?
God, it might be. So, the 2 bugs had gotten something from our association without even trying. That was very interesting. It wasn't love. I mean, it couldn't be, could it? Yes, I love my friends, but I didn't consider Chashkari a friend, even though it was delightful to see her latch on to mathematical concepts like Pinkie Pie on a fresh cinnamon bun. Yes, we had a great time together, but what? I don't know. I just didn't have enough background knowledge, and no pony else had any clue what was going on. As Jigsaw and I ate dinner and shared tea with the changelings, I decided to do some subtle questioning of Chari the next day in between tutoring sessions, and working on my own calculations, of course. It wouldn't do to forget the monster lurking in the basement. It was a bit difficult getting to sleep because I really didn't want a repeat of my dreams from the night before, but I eventually slipped into a sound, dreamless slumber.
Yo, she's using a dream suppression spell. Someone stop her.
No, I like his music. That was a dumb joke.
It took me a moment to get that.
Anyways, that was The Celestia Code by Esau, chapters 15 and 16. Things are ramping up.
It's all coming together.
Now that we've had the book burning scene from the beginning, who knows, maybe Twilight could die.
Yo?
Anything's possible
And
now.
Jigsaw. Because, technically Jigsaw couldn't have died before this, but even though we didn't know that.
Yeah, kind of messed up on that one. I think I did eventually go back to it and was like, oh, that's Jigsaw at the beginning, of course. Then I forgot.
I have to re-listen to the episodes.
It's a good listen, man. It starts off a bit rough, but we find our footing with it. But yeah, great. Absolutely fantastic stuff. As always, loving this book. It's a book, right? It's a book.
Yeah.
Hopefully Twilight doesn't burn it.
So in that situation, would you have burned it?
No, there's not a chance.
Wow, Wizzy doesn't support book burning.
Oh, call me Hitler. I don't support book burning.
Okay, Hitler.
No, not literally.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, call me Dr. Handsome.
Ross and Dr. Handsome's Fan Fiction Power Hour. Actually put that in the
Perfect.
title. So yeah, ooh, very, very curious where this is going. I guess I'm a bit less curious now because the beginning was already solved now. So I'm just like,
The mystery's
well,
coming
okay.
together.
But yeah, of
But
course.
I really feel like there's going to be some big event that's going to happen soon where someone dies or someone does something horrible.
Esau, I'm begging you, make Jigsaw the villain.
I really think that would work well.
I am desperate to see either a goofy evil Jigsaw, just because that would work well with the voice, or just the actual devil, her becoming literally the most evil pony ever, somehow.
If there was somehow a animated adaptation of this fic and Jigsaw wasn't Irish, I would be devastated. I couldn't fathom it.
Yeah, I literally can't listen to anything else. And you know me, I was all like, oh, come on, why are you doing that voice? As I do.
You didn't want me doing an accent.
I don't want you doing that accent. Well, at least I didn't. But yeah.
At first, I was going to do a really problematic one, but...
Oh yeah, that's not problematic? Great.
I don't think so.
The Irish have been through a lot.
That's true.
This is a fantastic story. As always, thank you very much, Esau, of the Celestia Code. I guess that's all I have to say about it. Well, I have so much more to say about it, but this is getting long. Bye.
Bye.
Record.
That was a quick record, my man. We were just like, record.
Maybe I should have said record player.
Is that what record is short for?
Yeah.
Dear God. Mind is blown.